Someone else have their hand up over here.
Okay.
I've been carrying a story about my daughter. She hasn't spoken to me for a long time, and it seems to become a mantra for me almost, you know. My daughter doesn't speak to me, and then I can't forgive myself for being alcoholic and the things I have done that I say, well, you know, I deserve not to be talked to.
Oh, honey. Oh, my goodness. Would you like to do the work?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that.
I would love to.
Okay, so...
Is this a
Let me do my
lady
part.
called Byron Katie?
Okay,
Yeah?
sweetheart, so read what you've written.
I am hurt with my daughter because she won't forgive me for all the ways I hurt her.
Your daughter won't forgive you. Is that true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? What is the situation? What is the moment that you were writing out of?
I was writing out at the time about 5 years ago when she was telling me all the ways I hurt her and said she doesn't want me in her life anymore because she can't stand to be hurt by me anymore. And I haven't seen my youngest grandchild, and she has kept true to that. She doesn't want me in her life.
And where were you in that situation when she was telling you that?
I was on the phone.
Good. Okay, so in that moment, she's never going to forgive you. You're believing that.
Yeah.
So let's look at it. She's never going to forgive you.
Yeah.
Can you absolutely know that it's true? She's never going to forgive you.
No.
How do you react? What happens when you think that thought in that moment?
I just shut down. I feel just fearful.
Now, where do you feel? I see your hand right there. Where do the feelings start? How do you react when you think that thought?
Okay.
It's such a simple question, and it includes so much. The emotions, the feelings, where they are.
Yeah.
So much of what the mind compounds, throws on top of you is to escape those. So
Yeah,
we
exactly.
judge out.
Yeah.
She's hurting me.
Yeah.
Because those feelings are so huge.
Yeah. It's in the chest area and it's all the way into the belly area. I feel a strong burning sensation when I have that thought that she's never going to forgive me. It's like this wall of protection, and it's just like a armor.
And you shut down.
And I shut down. Yeah.
She's on the phone. You shut down.
Yes.
You don't want to see her.
And I was feeling so guilty that she was right about everything she said.
And you don't want to see her.
And I don't want
What
to.
she's feeling, what she's thinking, what she's experiencing.
Oh, yeah.
She never wants to see you again. You don't want to see her.
I don't want to see her in that moment.
You shut down.
I did.
It's like a good thing when you do it, but not when she does it.
Yeah.
You don't want to see her. And she's telling you it hurt.
Yeah, I see that.
Your daughter won't forgive you. Your daughter is never going to forgive you. On the telephone, in that moment, who would you be without the thought, my daughter is never going to forgive me? Now is the opportunity to listen to what she said.
Yes.
To take that in. To be with her. Without the thought, my daughter is never going to forgive me.
Wow.
How many think you're really following this? Okay. So where is the pain coming from?
Believing her God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her daughter's not hurting her. She's being honest.
Yeah.
She's telling her truth, which is why you want to be with her anyway. You want to be with his daughter. But what you're believing about her, that's the cause of your suffering in that moment. Okay, sweetheart, so my daughter is never going to forgive me. Turn it around.
I'm never going to forgive me
for shutting down
in that moment and not being with her.
She was giving you 100% of herself.
I just couldn't hear it then.
No, you were busy believing your thought.
Yeah.
And that's not your fault. We cannot help what we believe. We're innocent. Completely. But there is a way to question what we believe and break the spell. It's like we're hypnotized. Asleep.
Kind of what I want to really do today is forgive myself, really. You say I'm innocent.
For shutting down.
Forgive myself for shutting down.
And not listening to her.
Yeah.
You tell her you want a relationship, it just wasn't true.
Yeah, that's true. I see now. Wow.
You said you wanted her in your life, it just wasn't true.
That's true.
And she wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
Because you shut down.
Yeah, I see that.
It's not right or wrong. You were simply believing this thought. So can you find another turnaround? My daughter is never going to forgive me.
I'm never going to forgive my daughter for not
Yes.
forgiving me.
Yeah, I'm never going to forgive my daughter for saying what I don't want to hear.
Oh. Yeah.
I think I'll punish her. I think I'll shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, we have ways of teaching our children, don't we?
Yeah.
There's another turnaround. My daughter is never going to forgive me. Can you find another turnaround? What is the opposite of she is never going to?
Oh. My daughter is going to forgive me.
Yeah. For all you know, she already has. You know what I love about this work? You know, it's like in your place. I cannot make my alcoholism right with my child. I cannot make those things, I cannot change her mind. But what I can do is I can, I'll just say this simply. For example, call her and say, 5 years ago, you were honest with me and I shut down.
Yeah.
I can hear you today.
Yes.
You were right. I was unsympathetic. I was cold. It was all about me, and I am sincerely sorry. And I would love for you to start over with me, just to tell me again in case I missed something. And the reason I say this so confidently is I lived it. I lived it. I had 3 children. I had a lot of this.
Okay, so you can see this. She's Byron Katie, and you can watch, there's loads of videos. But here's this woman trapped in blame. She's trapped in the sentence that my daughter can never forgive me. Yeah? And she's trapped, and she can't see any room for growth or development or hope, and it's been for 5 years now. Same story. And Byron says, look, you just change that. If you can do what you do in other situations and turn and play with that sentence, you can see hope for change and growth. But once you're trapped in blame, it's really hard. So within a few minutes you could bring out tears, yeah? Just by turning those sentences around and letting the person feel it. Oh my gosh, this is what I could have, or maybe I can. And it's exactly what we were talking about, just changing this sentence to move away from blame. Okay?
So
Okay.
what did really happen there, do you think? I mean,
Well, the
what's
point is that
process?
because she was so, she believed this sentence, this blame sentence, yeah, she believed it. But as I said, in other situations, she would work her way around that blame sentence and move on to growth or development. But for some reason, we get trapped in certain situations where we cannot let go of blame. For some reason, we can't. And at those moments, we need a process of some kind of internal method so that we can get ourselves out. And we do that by doing what we normally do, but being mentally managing it. And saying, let's look at this blame sentence and let's turn it around and let's see what that allows for growth and development. Yeah?
But how could it work just by changing the sentence? How could that release her from the...
Well, she just said, look, she just asked her to change the sentence around, yeah? 3 times. I'm not going to forgive myself. Is there some truth to that? I'm not going to forgive... My daughter can forgive me, maybe she can, and if I'm really honest with her, etc., etc. I'm expecting my daughter to forgive me, but I can't forgive what she said to me, so, I'm not being fair, So all this, just by helping her look at the situation from new angles, automatically says, oh, actually, there's more I can do. There is more I can change. And so in a couple relationship or your friendship or something like that, if you think, this person's upsetting me or, and I seem to be in blame or accusation and I'm trapped there, I can change that if I have a method to get out of that. Because normally we would, in other situations we might. Yeah? But the point is to get out of blame and to say, maybe I can grow out of this. So we get it. If my husband was better is a sentence, and if my wife was better is a sentence many husbands have on certain levels. But in doing that, you can't see how you grow to solve the problem. And this doesn't help anybody. Yeah? That makes sense? Yeah? So you can listen to this, you can listen to husband, wife, and there's all kinds of ones here, there's hundreds of them. And you so when you catch people in blame against the movement or against this or against that or against the, you can say, well, there's something else you could be doing more and you just can't see it because you're in blame. Yeah? So when you're working with your clients, many of them are in blame, and how do I help them move out of that? Get the blame sentence and help them think about it more deeply. And if they're willing to, go, oh, actually, maybe there's something else I can do. Yeah? But it's just okay. So the last thing we're going to be looking at today is this one. Okay, we are tired. It's warm. It's hot. There's no air conditioning. And I just have to see how we can... You're being very patient. And... hope so. Okay. So we talked about the principles of co-creation. How I try to use love and beauty to enable personal growth. Yeah? I see the beauty in something, or my wife. I find if I find like a job I don't like doing, if I can find something more meaningful in it, then I have more energy for it. Oh, this is actually very useful. This is very, I can use this for my life, maybe. But we're going to look a little bit about the fallen natures and the principles of restoration today, okay? So here we have this picture, yeah? It looks like this at the beginning of, yeah? And we have this healthy part of me and these fallen natures. So how can we define those in a way that makes sense, that kind of gets a picture of what actually might be happening underneath it all? So basically we can say fallen natures are displaying behaviors or thoughts that are outside the natural textures of God's love, that lie outside of this nurturing, of this protective, of this adult, this team player child and this free child. Somehow it's these areas where we're disrespecting ourselves or disrespecting other people. Yeah? Because inside that circle is ideally you're respecting yourself and respecting others. But here we're disrespecting. So Cain killed Abel. He had a difficulty in a relationship. He could have used some healthy skills to do it, nurturing parent or something, but he didn't. He killed his brother. Yeah. So basically this is what I came up with. So just like you have a healthy child, you can become an unhealthy child. Where somewhere in your childhood things happen, they go wrong, instead of developing healthily, you develop something inside yourself which is like an unhealthy part of your child. So you can say there's, over here, some children become rebellious. Even by the age of 8 or 9, they're very rebellious. They refuse to be part of the group. They just, angry, these kind of attitudes. Then some children just are hurt, and they are hurt children. They're all shut in and quiet and unable to express, and they're just fearful of life and frightened of life. And then you can have another kind of hurt child, which is a compliant, just does things just to be accepted. If you accept me, I will do anything, I'll violate anything just to get some love. Just give me some love, acceptance, yeah? So some people join gangs or these kind of things. Often will. Some girls, in England, some girls, they have some gangs in southern London, and some girls are willing to be raped by the gang members in order to be accepted by the group, by the gang. Because they have no father who's accepted them, who loved them. So to be accepted, they're willing to be raped by all the gang members. Yeah? So just accept me. I just need somebody who loves me for who I am. And of course some people just refuse to grow up. They just don't do the processes, of going to get an education and get a job and clean a house. And some people just don't know how to, or refuse to do that. Yeah? Might say. So once you have those in your childhood, one of those, then there's a much greater potential later for you to develop unhealthier parenting or unhealthier thing. So over here in the top right-hand corner, you can become an over-controlling parent. Over-controlling, yeah? You use force or threats or this kind of punishments or all kinds of things. You might become overly critical, just very critical of your children, your spouse. You try to solve your problems by criticizing others. Yeah. Another one is like a doormat parent, which is kind of like the compliant child, but this time you take away the responsibility of other people, and you let yourself be used. Well, you use yourself to take away responsibility. You rescue people. You try to do too much, and then you criticize and get upset. And then there's the too rational adult, which is just like an emotionally distant, very distant, cut off, hurt, or just doesn't want to get too involved and just with others and not really there for the children or for the wife or these kind of things. So these kind of you can call them fallen natures, the expressions of, they're nothing to do with the way God expresses love. It's just not the way God works. So, if you have a look at this thing, in the middle of this healthy things, and around it we have these different types of responses that can be fallen, we might call fallen responses or fallen natures. So, For example, your beloved is leaving a mess all over the house. Okay? So using any one of those, criticism, controlling, rebel, hurt, compliant, how might you respond to your partner's messiness? Give me some examples. How might you respond in an unhelpful way to your partner's messiness? What might you do? Karen, what might you do? Hi, darling. It's so hot. I know, it's a hot day afternoon. What might you do? Criticize, yeah. Yeah, you just might just get really, really critical. How many times do I have to tell you? Da, 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 okay? Yeah, okay. Anything else?
Say nothing.
Say nothing. Just say nothing. And what will that? And what? Get negative inside?
Yes.
Yeah, just say nothing and get negative. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what would that be? Because surely it would negatively affect your relationship. It was, you've got this negative feeling inside.
Underdeveloped adults, I don't know.
Maybe hurt child, maybe, it depends how it expresses itself. Yeah, if you just keep quiet, you might just say, oh, I'll go and get a drink of whiskey to hide the problem, or,
Do it all.
Huh?
Do it yourself.
Good. You might clear up for your partner,
Is that the doormat?
like a doormat, and then you might get upset with them afterwards. Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't accept afterwards, it is fine.
Huh?
But if you don't accept afterwards,
Yeah.
it is a good problem.
Well, this is a question, yeah, and we can discuss this, yeah. This is an interesting point, yeah. We'll discuss that later, yeah. But you can. A lot of people do rescue and then get upset. Okay, so that's completely. That's quite different. I think but we can talk about the other thing later. Yeah? Anything else? Well, if you're going to leave a mess all over the place, well, so will I. I don't care either. I give up. You're not going to grow up. Why should I? Why should I bother?
Is that the underdeveloped adult?
Underdeveloped, yeah. Or if you're going to act like that, well, so I'm just going to go out with my friends and party, or do something different, or scratch your car, or I'm just going to do something else.
Take revenge.
Take revenge, yeah, something, So you can do all those and more, yeah, as a negative response. It's unhelpful. It doesn't solve the problem. Yeah? Okay, so you have a son or a daughter, and they say, I'm going to be back by 10 o'clock, Daddy. And then they don't come back at 10 o'clock. Every time they come back at 11:30. So what might your be response? What might be a kind of fallen nature response? Huh?
Get angry.
Get angry, yeah. Get critical, angry, yeah. Anything else?
Ground them.
Ground them, yeah. Overly controlled, good, yeah. Good. Anything else?
Well, maybe you can go out later and do it.
Yeah, you could not keep your promises. If you're not going to keep your promises, so next time you promise your children something, you just say, why should I bother? I'll show them. I'll show them what it feels like to come home late. Children,
Very adult fiction.
we are coming back at 10 o'clock, children, and you're not going to come back till 11:30. And when you come back, see how they feel. Yeah, for sure. Huh? Anything else?
Just let them get away with it.
Yeah, just let them get away with it. Just act like a hurt child. Oh, life is too tough. I don't know. Life is hard. Yeah. I'm not going to grow up and learn disciplining skills or anything. Yeah. So we can. So what's happening? Yeah. What's basically happening? So, we can ask for an example, but time is, So basically, what's happening is that when we're a child, if something happens to us when we're an adult, we can normally process it with the 5 principles of co-creation. Yeah? So if something goes wrong in your couple relationship, you might be able to talk it out, might be able to solve it, understand each other, etc., etc. So it doesn't get embedded in you. So when you're an adult, you can do that. But when you're a child and something goes wrong, often you can't talk about it. When something goes wrong, you can't talk about it. So and it's hurtful, and it hurt you, and you got hurt, and you can't talk about it. So what happens, you store that pain inside you, and you act like you were hurt, or you act like you're angry, or you act like whatever, yeah? Why should I bother? So you take on attitudes of kind of a hurt child, because you don't know how to process it properly. You don't know how to solve it properly. So you store it in you. Okay? Then what happens is that as you get older and you become more adult, then these trapped emotions, these emotions here, then they get awoken at some times, and then they come out, and then you become more aggressive or more angry or more critical or something like this. So it's the stored emotions that get trapped, and because you couldn't process it properly when you were young. Yeah, you catch that point? When you were young, it's hard to process things in a healthy way. So this is kind of what happens. Okay, what is the difference between one of these fallen natures when you're in a couple relationship? So my wife, I have strengths, I have weaknesses, and I have my broken self, my fallen natures. Okay? If my wife wants to talk about my weaknesses, we can talk about them. Darling, would you mind doing a bit more around the house, because maybe you don't realize that I'm stressed and things like that. And if it's just a weakness, I can talk about it. Okay, yeah. So many young husbands, before they have the birth of their first child, if the wife talks to them and said, look, darling, after the birth of the child, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be exhausted, I don't want to make love for a while, but I need you to do more around the house. Most males will say, okay, I understand that, I catch that, just tell me what to do. I will take the laundry, I will do that. Okay, fine. Most males are capable of that if they're asked and talk it out. If, however, you try to talk about a problem and it turns into an argument, then typically you're dealing with a fallen nature. You're dealing with this pain. It's not rational anymore. It becomes an emotional experience. So instead of just saying, darling, could you just do more around the house because I'm overwhelmed, and he might say, look, all you keep doing is demanding all the time. I can't believe how many times you just keep asking me to, and it's just impossible to talk about it without emotions coming up. So often when we talk about money, a lot of couples find it almost impossible to talk about money without arguments coming up, because there's so many traumas connected with money in the family history and things like this. So it's very complicated, these things. But that's the difference, I might say, yeah? Okay, one can be talked about. And we talk about in the principle that there's these fallen natures come from 3 sources. They come from my ancestors, from my family tree. They're passed on down. They come from our society, a collective society. So every society has fallen natures embedded in it. It has fallen natures, and we inherit those things. And thirdly, my personal experiences, my personal negative experiences in my life. And all these 3 things can make it hard to respond correctly at certain times in my relationship. Okay? Yeah? Makes sense? Oh! So, okay, I'll just move on here. Okay. So, here I am, I'm a child, yeah? I'm a newly born child, and I'm a child of God, And as a child of God, I expect to be treated with respect and love. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to be born into an ideal world. Why? There's never been an ideal world. So how can I expect? Why do I expect it?
Original nature.
A natural nature. And we can't change that. We're born expecting to be an ideal because it should be an ideal to some extent.
I believe that.
Yeah. And so we get this into this world, and suddenly we get this stuff, and we go, what is this stuff? What is this craziness? This lack of respect? And we don't know how to process it. We've never been taught how to process it. We're not old enough to process it. And also on top of that, our parents are processing things wrongly, and we, out of loyalty and love, we inherit their processing methods for processing. So if they're critical, we become critical. If they deal with their problems through drink, we're more likely to deal with our problems through drink. That's it. That's how they teach us. So we inherit from it. And some cultures, like Finland, they keep their pain inside. And some cultures, they let it out and become more violent or aggressive or whatever. So culturally, how we express these things has a lot to do with it. Yeah? And the sentences cultures say to each other inside themselves can be fallen sentences and broken sentences, which don't help us at all. So here am I, a child, I'm born to this world expecting true love, and I don't get it. I get this trauma of my family tree, my culture, and my own personal traumas. And here I am, and I store that, and I store some of this pain, or fear, or shame. How many times do I hear messy, naughty little girl, shame on the family, just not nice. Or the anger towards your parents or towards somebody. You store it inside ourselves. Store it inside our heart. Okay? And we take on the attitude we're a victim. My parents hurt me. These people hurt me. These bullies hurt me. This teacher hurt me. This friend hurt me. These people hurt me. And we might become more of a victim. Some people are not so much victim, but some people are very victimized. They feel victimized. So here we have, you say we have fallen natures. Here are our fallen natures, the expression of this fallen nature, this criticism or this controlling or this drunkenness or this anger, whatever. But behind it all is this pain, this anger. Behind it all is this emotions and this feeling of being a victim. So the victim sentence, I am powerless to solve this problem using healthy love. I don't know how to solve this. It's just angry at the world. And the emotional energy gets stored, traumatized. So we express fallen natures in our marriages, in our parent-child relationship, even in our friendships, at work. Bosses can be very traumatized. Okay? So this is what happens. Here we have this hidden pain from our childhood. Certain things happen in our ancestry. Certain things, certain specific events happen. When we meet an external event that resonates, spiritually resonates, resonates like a tuning fork. When we meet an event in the present day that resonates, has the same emotional with the event that caused in our childhood or in our ancestry, that caused that pain, then that pain gets stimulated. That pain just comes, it starts to overwhelm us, and we go into something called primal panic. And in that primal panic, we are uncontrollable. We become uncontrollable. We start to feel like really you're not worthy at all of any love or any respect or any belonging. You are just nothing. And that feeling of nothingness and panic and everything else we just kind of come out wrong. Whether we just drink, or we get critical, or we get hit somebody, or we just run away from our wife, or whatever. These emotions take over. We are no longer a rational human being. We are just emotionally controlled by this stored pain and the stored anger that's it. And it was triggered when a resonance happened. So, for example, in a couple relationship, you might have when he comes home, he says, I'm going to be home at 6 o'clock. Fine. And he turns up at 10 past 6. And she is angry as hell. Angry. That's, and you sit down and say, Scotty, I got caught in the traffic, or something like this. And she, how many more times? I can't trust you at all, and etc., etc. And all these emotions and everything else. So there's a resonance. Something happened in their history which was very painful. And it's just triggering that same thing. So say, for example, her parents, her father had an extra relationship with a woman, infidelity. So he would say to his wife, her mother, father, I'm going to be home at 9 o'clock, and he doesn't come back. And the mother starts worrying. And then she finds out that he has a girlfriend, another girlfriend, and they go through divorce or struggle or something. Yeah? So as soon as 6 o'clock comes, at 1 minute past 6, he's saying, maybe he's having a girlfriend. At 2 minutes past, he absolutely has another girlfriend. At 3 minutes past, I'm going to be left raising 3 children all alone in the world. And I'm going to murder this guy. Do you understand? Because it has a resonance with what happened in her father-mother relationship. It triggers that pain, that fear, that anger, that shame. And there's nothing you can do to control it at that moment. You just are overwhelmed. It's not, I would walk home, or somebody else would walk home, or something, and say, darling, look, don't you realize you just get stuck in the traffic? I just, you're always late! I didn't. I came home late on time all last week. But the week before you were twice late! And on a winning day you were late! And she remembers all the times you were late. And it becomes impossible to talk about. So how do we, we've got this trigger. And so some women get overwhelmed and it just comes out all wrong. And some men do things which they shouldn't do. It comes out all wrong. But this is because somewhere in there's all this emotion trapped. Yeah? That makes sense? Yeah? So what are the rules? The rules of my traumas, my fallen natures, the principle is very clear. My fallen natures are my fallen natures. They're mine. Only I can restore my fallen nature. If my wife tells me 100 times, you should not do that, Stephen, it doesn't help me at all. I do not change because somebody tells me. Sometimes my beloved can be patient with mine, and that gives me the space for me to reflect, oh, this is really me. It's not that they are triggering me through their anger or whatever, but in their peacefulness, and I'm still coming out, I can start to say, this is really actually me. I better control it better. Okay. Sometimes if you're aware, so for example, if you know your partner gets stressed because you're going to be late, you can make sure you leave the office early enough. Or you can telephone at 5'2", and say, darling, I am at this point. You can try to make it easier so they can say, okay, they don't have to. So you can work with it. You know? So some women get very stressed if they have guests over. They get very panicked. So you can say, okay, darling, 3 days before, I'm going to start cleaning. So you can feel calmer. Do you understand? You can work with it. But because only I can make a decision to remove my fallen natures, to heal myself, the quicker I work with it. Okay? Okay. So what have I learned about my wife's and my traumas, and her traumas and my traumas? How I process, how I choose. If my wife expresses some trauma, of course, typically in the past, I would respond by a traumatic way. I would say, how can you do me like? How can you talk to me? how can this kind of interaction? But then I realized, oh, I can create a story about her behavior which allows me to process it better. Process it in a healthier way. Okay? So, I have free will to choose this. So, for example, okay, so just say my wife, just really messy. Just really messy. And that's it. And I've talked to her many times about growing up, about becoming an adult, about these things. And it doesn't seem to help. And she doesn't seem to be able to make the internal change necessary. So I can make, say for example, as I'm tidying up this stuff, I can meditate. It can be a meditation for me. Every time I pick up something, I can say to myself, there must be something beautiful in the world, or there must be something beautiful in my partner. In other words, I can make it into a meditation, which at the end of it, I feel good about the world, rather than angry. Yeah? I can choose how I respond to this. Now, that you can call that rescue in some senses, but in a love relationship where you're both doing the same thing, you're both rescuing each other, sometimes that's the best thing. Until the person is willing to change, you don't want a lot of anger, frustration. Right? So, my wife might do something to kind of deal with my fallen nature in a way that makes the relationship better, and I can do the same. Instead of just being angry with each other. Yeah? Something I learned more and more recently, which is interesting, is my partner's traumas are my partner's traumas. I cannot get involved in my partner's story about the world. I cannot take it on and make it mine. If I do that, things get worse. So, say for example, say for example you've got a son or a daughter, okay? And suddenly they become vegetarian. Okay, good. Sounds very good. And you start to see them losing immense amounts of weight. And they get very thin. Okay? And then your wife starts to stress. My gosh, what about the grandchildren if you're just going to feed the vegetarian food? They might not get enough nutrition and things like this. And you won't have, maybe it'll hurt your body. And she starts to panic and all this stuff comes out. if I take her story and make it my own, it will destroy my relationship with my son or my daughter. Do you catch that? It's my wife's story. It's not my story. And if I take my wife's forward, because many people are vegetarian, many people live happy lives, many people, fine, if you're sensible about it. So her story is her story. And I shouldn't take it and inherit it and say, it's my story too. I have to have my story, which is a healthy response, and just ask my son if he feels it's fine, you're doing well, yeah, fine, yeah, I'm really enjoying this lifestyle. Okay, let's get on with a relationship. I trust you. But if you take on your partner's story, which is a stressful, negative story, then you're just going to get into trouble. Again and again and again. And it's so hard because you want to support your beloved. You want to, you're stressed, and her story is making her stressed and everything else. But there's nothing you can choose to change her story. It's her story. Only she can change it. Only she can decide this story isn't helping my relationship with my son. You understand? Yeah? So the best thing you can do is role model healthy attitude. Just talk to the son, and how's it going with this vegetarian? Oh, you're eating that, and fine, and you eat good, big sized meals, and you look thinner, like you just run a marathon. Okay, wonderful, that's really good. I'm so glad many people are very happy with that. Let's get on with our life. And the partner can see this is how healthy. But you can also say, go to the son and say, we're really stressed. We're worried about your grandchildren. We're worried about this. And don't you realize you should change? And da, 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 da. But it's not really your story. All you're doing is you've inherited your wife's. And it's not very helpful. It can hurt. So your job is to keep your healthy position in this situation. Yeah. Okay. So in front of our children, we have say for example, someone has a wife who expresses some emotional over-the-topness, okay? And you have to deal with the fact that your children are finding that hard. Yeah, they find it hard. So what's your response? Of course, in one sense, some of us might say to the children, oh, your poor wife, your mother is stressed, and please forgive her, and etc., etc. Or you might tell the wife, stop doing that, but she can't because there's all this stuff hidden away. How do you have to teach your children internally how you process this fallen nature in a healthy way. You have to role model that ability to say, this is your stuff, I love you and I appreciate you and there's good things in you, but that's just your stuff, that's just a part of you, and that's something we've all got to deal with. But you've got lots of good things, let's focus on that. So this is something to do with him and his father and his mother, and it's really nothing to do with us. So somehow help your children still value your wife, she's got lots of good things, and this is something she inherited, and it's nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with any of you. It's yours. Oh, mummy's at it again. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but she's still got lots of good things, and let's treasure her and value her. The worst thing is to go to the children and kind of make it, and not teach them how to process it, and not, and sort of say, make it bigger than it is, and lose that sense of appreciation. Am I making sense? Oh gosh, it's hard to explain. Sorry, this someday. If you respond in if you respond to your wife's fallen natures in a fallen nature way, your children will have 2 loads of fallen nature to deal with. That's it. And you have to find a way to say to them, children, this is your mother's small issue, but she has lots of good things. Focus on the good, but this is her stuff. Yeah? And if you want to deal with issues, maybe there's this way to deal with it. But this is something she has to deal with. But she's valuable, she's treasured, she's honoured, I love her. But this is her stuff. Yeah? How to deal with that and talk about it, Yeah. Anyway, so how does you heal? Cain and Abel, we talk about this Cain emotionalism. And so how do we start to heal this? First we realize that this thing is part of me, this habit, this anger, this lack of adult, or this hurt child, or this rebelliousness, or whatever it is. It's part of me. It is part of me. And I acknowledge that, and I say, oh, this is part of me. This is true. I am like this. Oh. Where might it come from? Where might it come from? What is the root cause of it? Can I think of something in my life where it might be the cause of this anger, or this pain, or this shame, or this fear? Where might it come from? The more we can understand that, the more we can see the bigger picture. Somehow to really acknowledge this is part of wonderful me. I am still lovable. I am still lovable even though I have this. God loves me even though I have this brokenness. That's fine. And then the last stage is to be able to somehow, it's kind of like, those little devils on your shoulders, like this. As you grow in awareness, okay, this is the broken part of me. It shouldn't be like this. Ideally, I would use healthier things. So when you see yourself being triggered, the guests are coming, and I'm starting to panic already 3 days beforehand, and etc., etc. And you'll be able to say to yourself, oh, here you are again. Here you are again here. It's really interesting. Nice to see you again. How wonderful to see you. I know that you're part of me. You're part of precious me. But I know that this isn't going to help at all in our family life. So I know you're there. I'm aware of you. But I want to use something healthier to go forward. And this process, this ability to be aware that this is part of you, and to somehow say, but I'm not going to go there, I'm not going to follow that, I'm going to use something healthier, is the process of healing. Yeah? So for example, you don't like leaders. You find it hard to like leaders, or some kind of, when they make mistakes you just get so upset, frustrated, And every time you hear a mistake, you just want to yell and scream or tell somebody off or, criticize. So, I had this problem. And I went through the process of really trying to find out where it came from. Because my father had the same thing too. He would write letters all the time to the government, to the local authorities, to the press, everybody. This is going wrong. The leaders are doing it all wrong. Oh, well, no, I wonder where it comes from, But where did it come from in him? And then I traced it back, and then my grandfather was in the First World War. 5 years in the mud in France. And he saw many men die because of poor leadership. Many, many poor leadership decisions. run forward with your pistol, officer, and everybody else will have a gun. And of course all the Germans go for the guy with the pistol. So many of his friends were just shocked because of the stupid rule that the officers had to have a pistol and everybody else would have a rifle. So all the elite top men of England were shot dead just because they had to have a pistol. They had to show they were brave. That was the way they showed they were brave. And all the Germans went, shoot, get rid of all the leaders. That's it. And he saw so many of his friends and so many poor leadership decisions and so many people died. And he got so angry. I can imagine after leadership. He came back angry at me, passed it on to my father, and I've inherited this kind of spirit. So whenever something happens in leadership, I automatically jump into it. I jump into it. So I caught this. I started to say, oh, here you are again. Hello. Hello, blame. Hello, criticism. Hello, judgment. I know you're part of me. Wonderful. And the more I became aware of it, I could say to myself, okay, but I have healthier ways to deal with it. There are better ways to deal with this problem. How would I deal with it using one of the healthier things? So how can I grow through this? How can I find a better solution? How do other people find better solutions? Etc., etc. Just the awareness of it allowed me to say, it's not the best way. So whenever I would write an email to the leaders, I said, well, Barbara, please come and read it. And she would take out all the adjectives. All the adjectives go. Like, I'm very upset. This is completely unacceptable. All the adjectives would go. And then she would say, Stephen, you have other way. And then I would get just leave it, basically. But somehow Stowers realized that this is not. Other people have healthy ways of dealing with this issue.
This reflection on that, when just by recognize your friend, the blamer or the critic, then it takes away half the power of that. It's more like when you're aware of when you don't become one with it, usually takes away.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I found because the only one that really suffers is yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no,
you
you
don't
can really hurt other people. Yeah.
That's true, but I mean, you're the one that's feeling the pain. Also.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not a very good feeling. And then when you recognize it, maybe you want to not feel the pain.
Yeah. It's this. How do I note it? First, I know this is wrong, and how do I catch it, and how do I control it, and how do I? So, and one of the methods I found really useful. We use family constellations. We every 6 months we do these seminars, and we look at our history, the emotional history of our families going back, and the more we uncover about each other's family histories and understand the emotional stories, the easier it is for me to process my wife's trauma, my wife's pain. So I might say to myself, there's Granny.
Do you do that in Finland, this concept?
Yeah, we help them every 6 months.
Who is helping you with this?
We've had a Polish lady come. Well, first we found one lady and now we found another one. It's very, very good.
When is the next time?
Probably after the summer. I can let you know. But we've had some really good experiences with these Polish ones. But the more I understand the picture of her background and understand the grandma, the grandfather, all these things, the more I'm able to place, when I see something coming out of my wife, which I know doesn't belong in God's kingdom, that I can say, oh, Granny, or the war, or communism, or this and that. And I just let it go. I just say, it's really not her. It's not her fault. It's easier for me to make a big picture of her life. and to catch it. And so I can just, what can I do? Yeah? And I can see she's trying to work on it. Every constellation, she does some work and she tries to heal and she's trying to understand and build a bigger picture and trying to move forward. And I can only honour that. Yeah? The worst is the kind of, before we were just stuck with it. We didn't understand it. It just came out and we just said, you're nasty, or etc., etc. But now we can see, 2 generations back at least, sometimes 3 generations back, the pictures of the problems and the money and the infidelity and all kinds of other things that were going on, and start to picture in communism and see how it all worked. And you just go, okay. So it allows you to process all these things so much more simply. But without that picture, you just say, you just be nasty. Yeah? You just don't care. You just, yeah. So the more we're aware, the more we get a picture. So one of the first things is to get rid of some of this anger and pain. So often there are different kinds of methods to try to get some of this pain out, the tears out, the anger out. And then it's easier to control these forces, these fallen natures, that dominate. Yeah? So there's lots of kind of in couple relationships, because fears about finances often it's really hard to talk about. Fears about going out with friends or going abroad. I know one couple they had. Every time he was going abroad, she made life hell for him for 3 days. And the children were there, and she made life hell, and he was worried, do I go? How are the children going to be treated if she's like this? But if you trace it back, it's probably in the war, going back to the war, and probably the mother was taken away, and in the wartime, or the children were separated from the parents, and there's this story about separation which is traumatic, and there's all this fear connected with it, and it's will he ever come back again, and etc., etc. And it's just a story inside the soul, which is not necessarily true, but it's amplified by this history. So the more you pick up that, the more you understand that this is happening, then you can either talk about it more, or promise to contact more often, or just understand it better. So late is often one of those. Sexual fears, there's also sexual abuse, or these kind of things going on. Cleanliness, education is kind of a big thing. Hobbies. His response to her stress. Anything else you find? Fallen natures might something come out. Anyway. Okay, there's all kinds of books. Homecoming, self-esteem, self-compassion, gifts of imperfection. Do you know Brené Brown? Have you ever heard of her? No, she's kind of a person who studied a lot about shame. And she found out there are kind of 2 kinds of people, and there are those who are frightened of trust and can't enter into relationships, and those who are more, she called them wholehearted people, that can enter into relationships because they know that even if they get hurt, they can pick themselves up. But if people can't enter into relationships fully, it's often the reason is because they feel if they get hurt, they won't be able to get out of it. They're frightened that they don't have the inner resources. So she wrote this book about the gifts of imperfection, and she does a lot of work with women who are perfectionists. A lot of women in the world today are very perfectionists. My children have to be perfect, they have to be doing perfect things, my house has to be perfect, everything has to be perfect. And these women are driving everybody crazy. But they're, and try to let it go. You're worthy as you are, and all kinds of things. So there's all kinds of different things going on. Then they have different books, and people heal with different books. You know, some people, you give one book to this, it's rubbish. And I've read certain books, it's just rubbish, and go away. You know, and I think, wow, this is the cosmos, and everything's working here for me. And we found family constellation work for us, but somebody else said it doesn't work for me, and I gave them the healing code, and he had terrible thyroid problems, and his hair was falling out and everything else. And he started practicing the healing code, and within a few months he was completely, his body was recovering, and he'd had it for years, this issue, you know. So, but it was the healing code is very much about appreciation, really getting more appreciative and getting back into that balance where appreciation can be. So, but people have different emotional freedom techniques and calming themselves down by tapping themselves, so self-management. You know. Of course, you can do all kinds of things. You can make conditions. Now you say, what's a condition? In this thing, what is this condition to try and heal this, you know? So a condition, so as I said, I found I could move away from start to move away by going out every day and praying in gratitude for other people, to appreciate the leader better, to the balance of criticism partly was because I couldn't see his good point. Never could see his good point. So I had to appreciate and gratitude and strengthen that so that any attack that I felt from my fallen nature was easier to deal with. Yeah? So we can strengthen the good parts. You can, if we can sense the loss that we feel, one thing we had in the last family constellations, I could really, really sense all the lost love. I never received from my grandfather, who died in the Second World War, the lost love from my father, because he was beaten up by his father, the loss of all that love, to feel, to sense it, and just to cry and just say, I'm sorry, God, we've lost all this love. And to kind of let that be a part of your getting out of pain, the lost love. How to get that out. We've lost so much on Europe. 2 wars. We've lost so much. How all that money and all those people and all that love and all the families and all the pain. So much. We do not realize how much we lost. And how God saw his children hurting each other. And how we all have been hurt by that. We, all of us, have a worse life today because of that. And a lot of the struggles in couples today is to do with the Second World War and the First World War. And how they can process that. A lot of fear, and a lot of pain, and a lot of sense of separation. You hear boys without fathers, and all kind of thing. A lot of pain. And how we cry that out and heal ourselves. So you place yourself in a Cain and Abel relationship. So you say, anybody in your life, you say, I want you to be my Abel. And God will work. Over the next few weeks, he will do something to make you so upset. And trigger something in you which you really didn't want, And you might have had a happy relationship for years, but if you say, please be my Abel, then for sure something will happen, And then you will have to say, this has triggered something in me, a resonance has happened, revealed something that I need to work on. This is very good, Okay. So a church leader, we often get this really, really mixed up. A church leader is a church leader. They're not able. They're a church leader. And their job is to strengthen the goodness in the community. That's their job. to build a community with the 5 types of love in it: protection, community, and sensible processing, and helping people develop and grow and nurture, and some fun time together, and to work together as a team, and to help all these God's love come into the community. That's their job. But if I choose personally, because only I can remove my fallen nature, God, if you're my church leader, I can say, God, I want to take you as my Abel. I want this church leader to represent Abel to me. And for sure, the next few weeks they will do something for us to bring out your Cain nature. So you can start working on it. And then you have more control, because you promised. But church leader is church leader. It's meant to build a healthy community. That's their job. Yeah? And we're meant to work to help them build that community. But it's completely different. So we have this, this kind of thing. This self-control, self-dominion. I feel so angry. Why did she do that so stupid thing? I feel just so disrespected. This pain, anger. And this ability, on the other hand, to say, it's okay, I am a child of God. I have the wisdom and the knowledge necessary to solve this in a healthy way. And this is the goal. Okay? So here we have a partner who's leaving messes all over the house. Okay, so I'm the messy one. I leave my sock here, my clothes here. In the kitchen, I just leave things out all the time. I go to the fridge, make a sandwich, leave it out. I dump my stuff all over the living room. No, he's laughing. Okay, so what can
I don't know why you're taking me as an example.
Now, of course, this can either be a weakness and can be discussed. Maybe we need to put a laundry basket in the bedroom. Maybe we need a cleaning time on Saturday morning. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll clean the kitchen for you if you clean the bathroom for me. There's all kinds of rational give and take and sharing and sensible solutions, and which a healthy human being can use. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah? So, I'm sorry, I answered the question. There's all kinds of sensible things. But if the person just has this lack of desire to grow, then how do you deal with that? And it's complicated. But the worst thing is to respond with the fallen nature of your own. It just doesn't help anything. Yeah? So you might, if they refuse to pick up their clothes from the floor, you just say, okay, if they're not in the laundry basket, I'm not washing. That's it. Yeah? Or if he brings home stuff and dumps it in the sitting room, I'm not picking it up. And just watch it grow. This is not my job. Yeah? I'm not participating in this game. I refuse to participate in it. I will love my husband, but I'm not going to get involved in his habits. I'm not going to get upset by it. I'm just going to make him realize the consequences. So when he says, I've run out of underpants, I have nowhere else to put the stuff. The kitchen counter becomes completely cluttered. Or there's no, just whatever. Yeah. How do you say, I'm not going to get involved in this game? Let the person realize the consequences. Because when you have alcoholism, for example, to help the person realize the consequences of it. That's part of the 12-step program of healing, to realize their own consequences, or gambling, or things like this. How do you help the person become aware and not try to get upset? But just, how do you help? Anyway, there's a lot to talk about. But, yeah. Okay, we have an exercise which is really useful. I found really useful in quite a lot of couples that I work with. It's an exercise which is basically says, say for example you come home late, okay, and say I come home late and my wife gets upset, okay, gets overly upset. So you sit down calmly and you just simply go through the exercise. So maybe I can get it for you. Can you get